Hello, Enchanted ones, and welcome today to a tale of self-love, full of magic, surprises, and tips to help us unlock our inner dove. I truly hope you enjoy. Hello, Enchanted one. 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 This tale is about a girl, Alwyn her name. Lately, Alwyn realised that life was getting to be a bit of a pain. She scrolls through her phone and finds it hard to stop, and it often caused her to be late for her job. Today, she did it again. She fell back to sleep. And unfortunately, it was only 5 minutes before work that she woke up unexpectedly. With barely any time to get ready, Alwyn could not go steady. She looked in the mirror to panic, for her day was going to be so frantic. Yet even though she felt so flustered and unprepared, she was really good at not showing this. Just don't forget your headband. And smile. Even on a break, Alwyn still found herself scrolling mindlessly. She did not think her day was worthwhile. Oh, how she longed to go for a walk to clear her head. But her mind was too occupied for Instagram. After she had finished work, Alwyn looked at her list of jobs. The list was long and she felt overwhelmed, but she had to do something. She felt compelled. Now, that was one thing to tick off the list, but what was next? Alwyn sat down to quickly check her phone. Oh, how she longed to go for a walk, or even meditate. Yet she found her phone was her new soulmate. 2 hours later, she was still scrolling, but Alwyn was getting annoyed. What was this life she had created, staring at her phone? She longed for self-love and care as if she was a precious stone. Instead, she felt like a zombie. She didn't know what to do. All she knew is she needed a breakthrough. She placed her head on her pillow to feel something beneath and looked to see it was her old friend, the worry fairy. Alwyn was so glad to see her and so sorry she'd forgotten. So she told the fairy her worries and stresses before she hit rock bottom. She stressed how she neglected to make her days happy, and she needed self-love and respect. Help me to love myself unconditionally, she pleaded, and placed the worry fairy back under her pillow. But little did she know, luck was in her favour, and the fairy would grant this wish so. Hello, Enchanted one. Hello, Enchanted one. Hello, Enchanted one. Hello, Enchanted one. Alwyn woke the next day to a very unusual find. Her phone wasn't next to her as it always was. Instead, it was on the landing, and she was unsure why. She tried to pick it up, but to her surprise, the phone was stuck there. She tried and tried. What was this sorcery, she thought? But then a little note floated down by its side. Alwyn picked up this note and read, "My dearest Alwyn, your wish has been granted. Now look inside to see the life you long for, a life that's enchanted. Yours truly, the worry fairy." The fairy had listened. It was a breakthrough she had pleaded. And since she was already out of bed, she thought a morning routine was needed. She started by stretching for 5 minutes or so to wake up her muscles and ignite the flow. Next, put on the kettle, a hot beverage to start the day. Hot water with a drizzling of honey and zesty lemons strengthen her immune system was the way. Alwyn went to sit on the sofa when her friend the fairy appeared, and with a glide opened the door to outside. Alwyn realised the fairy was helping her, and she stepped into the fresh air. She sat in the garden and enjoyed the company of the birds when the fairy appeared again, this time with breakfast. Porridge, fruit and honey, just what the solar plexus chakra needs to gain its nutrients and stay full of energy. The next step was to get ready, and that she did. She wore clothing that made her feel special and to bring out her confidence and personality. She brushed her hair that was so knotty and finally added some extra blush. And as she placed her mirror down, a note magically emerged. "Smile," it said. She looked confused but realised what to do. So she smiled, awkward at first, but soon she laughed as she was making her happiness burst. Lastly, she thought she'll make her bed for the first time in a year, and the fairy alongside opened the window to let fresh air flow and be clear. She leisurely strolled downstairs to work, and with her newfound smile, felt good and ready, and as a matter of fact, for once, her day was steady. During work, the fairy kept reminding Alwyn of what she could do to surround herself with self-love. Simple things like rose quartz and even beautiful roses, the scent alone kept Alwyn perked up. Also, she reminded her to drink plenty of water during her workday, as hydration can keep stagnant energy away. At last, work had finished, and Alwyn thought, what next? So she got the list of jobs she needed to do and remembered the list wasn't the best. She suddenly realised why the list was displeasing and why she could not keep up. It was too long and needed to be spruced up. So magically before her eyes, the list completely changed. The jobs were balanced out with incentives, in which were all pre-arranged. Alwyn was excited and got to work. She first danced around to loosen up, which after a long day was such a perk. She then washed up, and it was okay, for as she washed, she imagined cleansing the negativity away. She then meditated and put her mind at bay. 5 minutes she timed, and it let her troubles drift far away. Next, a little dust here and there was so fun and simple. The list kept Alwyn present, and she realised that having an active mind left her feeling so satisfied. It then came to the last item, in which Alwyn could not wait. 20 minutes of social media. She went upstairs to see if her phone was unstuck, and if by magic it came free. She sat on the sofa and timed 20 minutes, and she made the most of this. 20 minutes later, the alarm went off, but Alwyn had a problem. Her eyes were fixated on the screen. She thought just a little more time, but she heard a voice that came with such a surprise. "Alwyn, you have the will. Now close your eyes." She did as she was told, and she was terrified. "Take 3 deep breaths. Now open your eyes, and you will see. Now you perceive everything differently." Alwyn understood. She saw everything clearer, and with that said, she left her phone unattended. She looked at the list only to see one item that remained: go for a walk. So she put on a cape and went into the Enchanted Wood. On Alwyn's walk, she realised there was a new theme today, a theme of love, and she wondered, how does this forest work so miraculously? She thought to herself, how does a single seed know to care for itself so magically so? How are the trees programmed to absorb the nutrients they need? And how does a single flower feel the warmth to bloom so majestically? Alwyn knew she had lost her way, but the trees were telling her that this was okay. So she set off home to research self-love so she could see the world just as this forest does. She opened her altar, and it was time to begin. She gathered books that would help her to study and let love in. She dedicated a page in her book of shadows to self-love, and book after book wrote down items that were characteristic of. And she learned so much. There were beautiful crystals that honoured self-love and care. Crystals like calcite help to cleanse, and rose quartz unconditional love. And then herbs and flowers, Lavender helps to calm the mind and reawaken our senses, and roses heal and can help us to take away our stresses. So much vibrates on a high frequency from above. Pink and green, Himalayan salt, all have the frequency of love. She first tried something with hot water to help her soothe her soul, so she plucked the petals of a rose and placed them within this bowl. A simple steam and essence emerged into the air. Its scent was beautiful and helped her to repair. For this steam is not only good for the mind, it is good for the skin and helps to detoxify. Next, from the information gathered, Alwyn decided to make a self-love jar spell to keep her inspired. This bottle can be filled with anything you like, as long as it brings you the feeling of love. You will be satisfied. So, she gathered items that resonated with her and what she desired. Dried roses, a pink candle, lavender, Himalayan salts, and lastly found little tiny rose quartz. One by one, she placed these within the jar, and as she did, thought of their loving qualities. But before she sealed this jar, she closed her eyes, and she did a little ceremony. She repeated a phrase, "I love myself unconditionally." And as she repeated this, she believed it more and more. She thought back to everything she had done today to show herself she was capable to adore. As she thought back, she realized something, that she had loved herself even before this day. She had loved herself when she'd asked for help from the worry fairy. She needed to get mad, to go on this journey, and she was so glad. Alwyn sealed the jar with a pink candle, so the loving energy was sealed inside. This bottle will help her to see. Self-love will make her feel free. After the excitement of such a beautiful day, it was time for bed. Alwyn kept well away from her phone and put it on the landing instead. However, a worry set in just as Alwyn was getting into her spread. She had such a wonderful day, but she regretted to inform the worry fairy that what if she never has the will to do this again? The fairy replied, "My dear, do not worry, for you have always had the power of self-love within, for it was simple methods and teachings you needed. You came to me last night, and look now, you have succeeded. But just remember, the slips are just as important as when you succeed. The self-love jar will be a reminder of who you are. You do love yourself unconditionally. My advice is, find what works for you. There are hundreds of methods, and when you find what works, you will be filled with 1,000 blessings. I have taught you several methods and will leave them in the description box below for the enchanted ones who would like to know." Alwyn smiled and placed the worry fairy under her pillow and laid her head down to rest. She closed her eyes, and instead of worrying, she thought of a place that she wanted to find, a place so tranquil. She imagined herself looking into a stream, and what could she see? Her reflection staring back at her. She saw the reflection and thought, "Every day I will try and try to show myself self-love, and trying alone is enough." Thank you for watching, Enchanted Ones. I hope your day is bright, and thank you for being here always. It is such a delight. Much love, and truly a good night.